Welcome to Teachers in Real Estate podcast with your host, Jackie Durbin. I have built a six-figure income from using what I learned from being a teacher. Teachers make great agents, but guys, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Some people are cutthroat. Some clients will make you want to throw in the towel, but your years in education have built you for a career in real estate, and I am here to help. With the right mindset and the right tribe, you can experience the same success. You can either supplement your income as a part-time agent or go full-time into real estate. The tools I will share will help you gain the confidence and the expertise to reach your goals. Whatever your goals, let's enjoy this time together. This podcast is geared for teachers who are looking to get their start in real estate and teachers who are already rocking those dual careers. If that's you, grab your notebook, your pencil, and buckle up. We are about to begin Teachers in Real Estate. Well, hello. I almost said good morning. And while I'm recording, it is most definitely not the morning time. It is the evening time. And as I am winding down my day, I couldn't think of a better place to end my day than by recording this podcast episode. So if you are a first-time listener, thank you for finding this podcast. Thank the person who told you about the podcast. Maybe it was yourself. So thank yourself. But if you are a longtime listener, I am glad to have you back. And I'm excited about this episode where we're going to talk about what's it like being a real estate agent and why is it that so many people excel and other people don't? Why do people say that little thing like teachers make they're great real estate agents? Because really all that does is put pressure on you to be awesome. And what if you're not? Like that doesn't feel very good. So let's just break down all of these different kind of stereotypes and myths and let's make it relate to our years in the classroom. So this past week, my son actually went back for his first day in school. If this is the first time that you've listened, I am a mom of four. Yes, four children. I have two adult children. I have one that is a senior in high school, and then my youngest is just now starting third grade. And so, anyhow, we're on year-round schedule out here in Arizona. So it was time for him to go back to school. And of course, mom, I'm like, yay, let's go back to school. Let's get back on that routine. And it got me thinking about like that first year that I was teaching in the classroom. And what's funny is I can remember with very like crisp memory, and my children will tell you, I don't remember anything crisp. Like I couldn't even tell you what I had for breakfast today. Um, but I remember very vividly my first year of teaching. And I remember kind of having like this cocky attitude that I knew what I was doing. Like, I scored in the top like 3% of my praxis and, graduated magna cum laude and like all these other things that really doesn't make any bit of difference because what you learn in school and what you learn once you're actually in the classroom are two totally different things. So, a little bit about my first year of teaching, my first year of like my full year of teaching, I was in a Title I school. I was in a school where I was the minority, and as a white female, I had never been the minority, I'd always been the majority. So, that was kind of different. And I was with a group of demographics that was different than anything I'd ever experienced. And so I came into it with a learning curve. Was I really good in school? Yes. Were all of my student teaching and, observation hours, did everyone have great kind of like feedback for me? Yeah. But this was the first time that I was on my own and being cocky and thinking that I knew everything was the worst possible like mixture of things. Like it wasn't a good fit. But what I will tell you is that first year of education, because I came into it open-minded, I learned more in that year probably that affected me long term in my teaching career in the most amazing ways that helped all of my students. So first things first, we had when I had my interview at this job, I was actually pregnant with my youngest daughter, who's now a senior in high school. And it was so funny because the principal looked across the table and she was like, "You're really pregnant. When are you due?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm due next week." And she's like, "Are you going to be able to like come in on the first day?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll be totally fine. Like this isn't my first rodeo. I will be good to go. Like my mother is also a retired teacher, so she'll be able to help me get the whole room ready. It'll be fabulous. And so anyhow, it was teacher meet the teacher, and I taught kindergarten. So of course, all the parents want to come and meet because this is their child's first experience being in a classroom, being at a school. And so of course they wanted to come. So they all came, and I'll never forget there was this one father who came over to me and he said, "Now who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm the teacher. I'm, the missus in this classroom." And he's like, "You're the teacher in this classroom." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "At this school?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "In this neighborhood?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Is there a problem?" And he goes, "Well, you're white." And I had never really thought, like, I knew that I was the minority in the classroom. I knew that I was the minority in the school, but no one had really ever made that blanket statement. And he goes, "Are you sure you're going to be able to handle being in this demographic?" And I thought to myself, well, of course I can. And what I didn't realize was all of the stereotypes and prejudice that I had in my head. For the first probably 2 weeks, I was terrified of correcting a lot of the students' behavior because I didn't want to be seen as someone who was being hard on a student because racially we were different. Let's fast forward to conference day, and I'm sitting across from this mom whose young boy, he was a good kid. He just made poor choices every now and again. He would get in trouble. And she said, "You have to be hard on my son." And I was like, "Well, he's 5. Like, I'm not going to be that hard on him." And she said, "No, you have to. Because when you show him that he gets second chances after second chances, it builds him into this mindset that that's how it's always going to be. And that's not his reality in the neighborhood that he lives in and the color of his skin." And I thought to myself, wow, I have a lot to learn. That is the exact same thing as it relates to real estate. When I got my real estate license, I remember being in school and like they're teaching me all these vocabulary words that, of course, I have to remember to pass this test. But what I'm thinking about is, who am I going to call? And how many people am I going to sell houses to? And what neighborhoods do I want to live in? I was already fast forwarding into me being in the business instead of me being at the present. And that is solely what causes people to be successful and what causes people to fail in their real estate career. When you start thinking that you're the smartest person in the room or you've got this all handled, that's when you fail. It's the same thing in education, right? I went into my first year thinking, hey, guess what? I've got this all, not realizing there was so much more learning that I had to do because not that I was closed minded, because I'm not a closed minded person at all, but I kind of had this mindset of, I already know what to do. So there's nothing that I need to learn. Now, I will tell you, in my first year of teaching, I learned more in that first year from my mentor teachers inside of my building. They do those observations, right? They come in, they watch you, and then they give you feedback on like these are the things that you did great. These are the things that, you need to change up. And some of the things that they always said that I did really well was engaging with the students. They were like, "You keep the kids' attention. Nothing really gets past you. Like you see behaviors as they're happening. You're able to anticipate their questions." Like, and I was like, "Wow, that's great." And they said, "But you talk to them like you're the parent. You're not talking to them like you're the teacher." And I really didn't see the difference in that until later on when I started teaching different grade levels and things like that. And the thing is, when you are a teacher in a classroom, there's different expectations. And so you have to make sure that you're constantly learning how to improve in your craft, which brings me back to being successful in real estate. In order to be successful in real estate, it's not knowing the right people, it's not having the fancy clothes or driving the fancy car or anything like that. What it boils down to is, who is teaching you? Who is helping you? Now, my mentor teachers that I had in my first year, they were getting ready to retire. They had been around the block. They knew exactly what to tell me. And what that did for me was it helped my learning curve. I learned more in that first year because the people who were in my corner that were rooting me on had already done many years in education. They had seen all of the different changes in education from two-parent households where one parent's staying home to two-parent households where both parents are working to single-parent households or maybe the grandparents raising the children. They had seen how things changed and they were able to teach me how to adapt to the types of students that I had in my classroom at the time. And then as the year would change, go on to the next year, whether it's being in a different grade or a different school or just having a different group of students in front of you, knowing that this is a constant fluid career. The way that you taught last year isn't the way that you're going to teach this year. And the reason why is because the students that you have are now different. And the teachers that fail, right? Because let's face it, there are teachers that are failing in education at no fault of their own. But the fact of the matter is, they're not changing with the times. And that's what happens in real estate. During the COVID pandemic, rates were really low, which gave an incentive for a lot of people to go ahead and either refinance their house, get out of a rental situation because they were able to purchase their own home and have payments the same. But it was also a very competitive environment, right? So if you were a listing agent and you had lots of listings and homes, of course they were going to sell because inventory was low all over the country, right? And everyone was able to now have affordable housing because the rates were low. Now, what happened on the flip side was inventory continued to stay low, but rates started to go up. When the rates went up, now people are getting where they don't have as much purchase power, right? So their pricing point goes down because inventory is low. There's not as many houses. Maybe you're in a city or state where the housing prices went up dramatically, which again creates a time of people not having affordable housing. So now you have agents that were succeeding so well, but when the market changed, now they're starting to not know how to do what they had always done, right? And so what do you have to do? You have to lean on people who are in your corner. No different. Like, think about this. Like, I taught for, sorry, I needed a little bit of hydration there. But I taught for nearly 20 years. And for the most part, the time that I taught, the same environmental factors didn't really change. Now, I will tell you that when I went from teaching public school, Title I schools in Kentucky to teaching in a private independent school in Arizona, the needs changed. And thank God I was able to change that up a little bit. And it was a learning curve as well, right? And what did I have to do? I had to lean on the teachers that were in that environment and that could help me thrive in that environment. I had the skill set, right? And that's the thing. People always say teachers make the best real estate agents. The reason why we make the best real estate agents is because we're able to communicate. We're able to diffuse these bombs of chaos or, trauma or any type of problem in a very just, I don't want to say diplomatic way, but kind of a diplomatic way. Like, we're able to step back, take ourselves out of the equation, and take care of whatever problem is in front of us. Because that's what we do every day, right? Like, you can't get all bent out of shape because, Susie hit Bill in the head with a pencil and now, like, you can't get hung up on that. It's okay. Why did this happen? What was going on? What needs to be figured out? We're problem solvers. And that's why we exceed in real estate so well. One, we're able to communicate, right? We have no problem talking to strangers. We do that every single day in the car rider line, right? You don't know this parent, but you're having a conversation with them. That's what you do in real estate. But the thing is, as teachers, we recognize that there is a need for educating ourselves, right? We go to professional developments, we read books, we get into different professional learning communities, whether it's at a school district level or maybe it's just on a personal level. I know when we decided that the whole world was going to stop, right, and we're all going to teach virtually. I don't know about you, but when I went to college, my bachelor's and my master's degree, teaching over the computer was not the best practice for delivering instruction to students. And we had teachers who maybe weren't great with technology, right? So there was a learning curve there. I remember so many teachers being active on different social media platforms and sharing things. There was so much sharing because at the end of the day, it didn't matter who created the lesson or who created, whatever, or like introduced you to an app, because it was for the betterment of all of us, teaching these little babies who were terrified because they didn't know what was going on and they didn't understand it. And why can't I go back to school? I thought school was supposed to be safe. Now you're saying it's not safe. Then, jump forward to when we actually go back into the buildings and now we're all wearing masks, right? I was teaching fourth grade at the time, but I couldn't imagine teaching kindergarten at that time wearing masks and trying to teach kids how to sound out words, because so much of our learning how to speak and read and write is watching people's mouths on how they sound out those words and how to be like, hats off to all the teachers who were teaching early primary during those times, because I know that wasn't easy, right? And those littles, I'm sure they had lots of questions that you weren't able to answer, right? But at the end of the day, what makes it possible for a real estate agent to succeed? It's the people you have in your corner. You have to make sure that you are in the right room, that you're at a room of people who want to pour into you, right? You want to make sure that you're in a room of people who have seen all the different types of a market, that you're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, creating something out of clay, that you're taking their creation and now you're putting your spin on it. Recreating the wheel is the biggest waste of time. And I know that sounds horrible, right? And I am the biggest type A personality. Like, I don't want to take someone else's work. I want to create my own, right? Because I am Michelangelo. But at the end of the day, that's not what's best for my clients. I don't need to learn from my mistakes. I can learn from someone else's mistakes, take their advice, and now put a little bit of a spin on my own, right? Whether it's a listing appointment, right? I don't have to guess on what to say. I can ask people who are in my corner, who are there to support me, to make sure that I'm able to give this client the best possible service. So I don't have to, figure out, okay, I'm working with buyers, they're first time home buyers. I'm going to go ahead and tell them all of this stuff, right, about the buying process. Guys, that's going to go in one ear and out the other. They are not ready to listen to all of it. So one of the things that I always did, especially in the beginning, is I would sit down with a seasoned agent in my office and I'm like, okay, if you had to start all over again in real estate, what would you do different? And I let them talk and I wrote down everything. They told me different things of ways that they tried to prospect that didn't work. And I'm like, okay, not going to do that on my list. They told me, you know what, I wish I would have done more of this. So many of the real estate agents that I had spoke to, especially early in my career, said, you know what, everyone told me open houses in your sphere of influence, meaning open houses are great ways to meet people. Your sphere of influence are the first people that are going to be your cheerleaders, referring people, and then also your clients, because they already know, like, and trust you. And guess what? I didn't do so much in the first part of my career. I didn't do open houses because I was teaching full time. And when I was home on the weekends, I wanted to be at home. Well, that's fine. I can totally stay at home. You don't have to do open houses on the weekends. But if I'm trying to build this career to be able to either supplement, pay off student loans, buy, something special, maybe help my parents out because, they're on a fixed income, then I have to do a little bit of the work. My sphere of influence, I didn't talk to anybody. I think I put like a couple of posts on social media and were like, hey, guess what? I'm a real estate agent. And then that was it. I didn't put them into my CRM. I wasn't sending them information about the home buying or home selling or what the market was doing. I wasn't sending them anything because I was like, well, they didn't ask for it. That's fine. Guess what? The student in the back of the room that's not paying attention because they're super lost also didn't ask for you to help them out during recess time or after school time. But I bet you gave it to them because you anticipate that that's what they needed, right? So, what makes an amazing real estate agent, in my opinion, what makes it possible for you to exceed in this profession and in this career You have to be open-minded. You have to be a go-getter. You have to advocate for yourself. You can't sit around and think that people know what you need because they don't. You have to raise your hand daily. You have to ask for help daily. I know we're all on social media, right? Like, who is not on social media? And if you're not, that's totally fine. You don't have to be. But one of the things we have to remember about social media is the purpose of social media. It's to be social with people. So, should you be following other real estate agents? Yes. Should you be seeing what they're doing? Yes. And don't just like the post. Maybe reach out to them, ask a question about the post. So recently, I was strolling through like Instagram, and I saw this video of a new property. It was their new listing, and the video was just really cool. And I'm thinking, wow, that is a really cool video. Like, it made me stop. And I don't even live in this city, but I wanted to watch the video and see what was going on. And so I messaged the agent, and I was like, "Hey, I just saw your video on your new listing. It was freaking amazing. Can you tell me um, how did you set that up? Like, how did you do this video? Like, did you have a videographer? It looked like you had some drone footage. Do you have a company that you use? Like, all this different things." And she laughed and said, the drone footage was from a college student because I'm in a college town, and they were able to do the drone footage for me. Um, all of the other video that you see, all was done with my iPhone. The audio, the reason why it's so crisp and clear is I bought this little adapter that goes into my phone, and then I wear a small mic. Like, she told me everything that she did, and I was like, wow. And she goes, yeah. She goes, I pay the college student. I think she said she paid him like maybe like $50 for like the drone footage or whatever, and he just gave it to her. And then she put everything into Canva to create the video, and I'm like, what? And so I'm thinking to myself, okay. And so I was like, thank you so much. And guess what she asked me? She goes, would you like to jump on a Zoom and I can show you how I like build all this out? Yes. Guys, that's why teachers make good real estate agents. We don't mind asking questions. If I see something amazing, like in the hallway, like I remember I was walking down the hallway and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the cutest thing. Where did you get that? Teachers pay teachers. That was when I found out about that platform, which is amazing. If you're not on it, you need to get on it because it saves you so much time, especially if you have littles, or like even like if you're doing like middle school, there's like tons of stuff on there for like reading things. Anyhow, you all know about teachers pay teachers. I'm not going to spend all my time talking about that. But that is how you get better. Also, think about this. Like, I remember over the summers, that's when I would learn about like new things that I could do in my classroom. Um, I would research about like new techniques or ways to kind of, whatever was new, right? Usually it was about like writing stuff, because being a writing teacher, that was probably like the thing that I didn't do the best at. And so I would research it. Guys, it's the exact same thing. If you're going into real estate and maybe one of the things that you're not doing well is prospecting, okay, get on social media, especially if you have real estate agents that are friends and followers, and post a question on your story and say, hey, I need help with prospecting. What are some books that you all read that I can read? If you don't have time to read, or you're really not a reader, which, why are you a teacher if you don't like to read? But whatever, I digress. Okay, that's like a rabbit that doesn't like eating carrots. Like, that's just weird. Rabbits should like carrots. Teachers should like to read. But maybe you don't have time to read. Find it on an audiobook and listen to it in your car. Let all of that information get into your brain. If you're at a brokerage and they offer different trainings, right? If you have a say in the trainings, then say, hey, one of the things that I really need is I need this. I can remember at the end of the school year, our principal would always send us a survey, and it was, what are the different trainings that you need for next year? And that's what our faculty meetings would be about. So like if a teacher was like, hey, I'm really struggling with, like classroom management. I need some training on classroom management. And not only was it like, maybe we would do a case study, maybe we would read a book as like an entire faculty, but a lot of times it was our own faculty members who would talk about different things that they did in the classroom for whatever skill that the teacher was trying to improve upon. So like I taught math, and a lot of the teachers were like, "Hey, word problems, like I know how to teach word problems, but if anyone has like a really good book or whatever that they read about it, if you could let me know." And so like we would end up doing like a whole case study on like different things. And then the amazing part was we were able to get into vertical teams. So like I taught fifth grade, so it would be like, third, fourth, and fifth. And we would kind of see like, okay, if we're seeing in fifth grade that this is the primary issue that across the boards we're seeing, what is the standard in fourth grade? What's the standard in third grade? And where's the breakdown, right? What's causing this disconnection once they get into this grade? Guys, it's the exact same thing in real estate. Let's say that you're doing open houses, you're getting leads, but you're not able to convert those leads into clients. Well, we know that the open houses are working. We know that your marketing is working. There's something in your follow-up that's not working. So now when you sit down with a group of agents in your brokerage or your team or, wherever, you're going to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm doing that I know is working well. This is where my hiccup is. And now you're able to have those professional learning communities now in real estate where people can come together and they can truly share what's going on. Guys, it's not rocket science, it's real estate. And because you are a teacher, you have specific skills that make this job the job for you. Now, again, I always tell people this is not a podcast to get a mass exit of teachers, okay? But one of the things that I know after nearly 20 years in the classroom is that we are not paid what we are deserved, okay? Now, we don't get into the job for the money, right? But when you have a family, you want to be able to give them certain things, right? Like you want to be able to pay for your kids' college. You want to be able to give them certain opportunities. And on our pay, you can't. Real estate is a great supplemental income. You don't have to sell a single thing. You could generate the leads, talk to the people who you're friends with already, right? Get the referral, pass it off to a full-time real estate agent, and now collect a referral. And you didn't have to do anything extra other than just connecting one person to another. Or guess what? We have these breaks in the school year, right? Or maybe all of your kids are grown, or maybe you have a lot of support at home. You can manage both careers. Being a teacher is a great way to always be getting new people in your sphere of influence because every year you're getting 24 new students, right? That would be roughly 48 new potential people that can go into your database that trust you with their biggest treasure. They trust you with their kid. Okay, you're keeping their child safe for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. Why wouldn't they trust you with their biggest purchase? And also be cheerleaders for you because you've done so much for their son or daughter. You've really helped them overcome whatever obstacles they had, or maybe you challenged them in a way that no other teacher had. Guys, teaching and real estate go hand in hand, and it's a hard job. I'm not going to lie. Being a real estate agent is hard, but you're a teacher, and that isn't easy either. I want you to keep it up and reach out to me if I can help. Guys, do me a favor and make sure to rate and share this podcast so others can find it more easy. Also connect with me on Instagram at Jackie Durbin AZ. That's JackieDurbinAZ. Reach out with any questions about getting licensed, gaining business. If you are already licensed and you want to take your business to the next level, we definitely need to connect. With our systems and our lead generation tools that we offer to any agent that partners with us, we can make it where you are making six figures in real estate, even as a part-time agent. I hope you love this, and I want you to join me next time as we explore more tips and more tricks to excel in the world of real estate. Until then, keep reaching for your goals. See you next week on Teachers in Real Estate.